next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Laugh to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slide, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Okay, welcome to the show. This is your host, Ron Stevens. This is Game On UCY.tv. I think I'm about 2 minutes late for the show, and I apologize for that. I just got home, and the computer took a long time to load up. So my apologies if I'm a couple of minutes late. So, what are we going to talk about tonight? There's a lot of things to talk about. And where am I going to go here tonight? Let me see here. Let me run down here first of all. I put last night I was looking at my Facebook, and somebody had put up on Facebook a song called "No One Is Free," and I think I can't be 100% certain who was singing. I thought it was Tom Petty, maybe not, but it's a really good tune, and but there's a guy who's passed away a year or two ago, Solomon Burke, who absolutely killed that song. And there's a video, which I think I'm going to stuff in the chat right now. He's dead now. He's a hell of a size, but he really nailed this song. I used to actually use this song way back when. None of Us Are Free is the name of the song, and I'm just going to plug this into the chat. And if you're not in the chat and you're just listening, you can go and punch in "None of Us Are Free" at my blog. Excuse me, CanadianTruth.wordpress.com. Because it's pretty good tune. And what I did yesterday was I just added a few things to it, and I'm going to stuff this in. If you haven't heard this song before, like I said, I used to actually use this song. I used this song as a lead-in to shows in the past, several years ago, and I also used to use a song. I don't know what it's called. I Won't Back Down, I guess. And that was a Tom Petty song. But I used to use the Johnny Cash rendition of it, or the cover of it, because I thought that just his voice in the song, I won't back down. You can back me up to the gates of hell, but I won't back down. I used to use that as an intro song a while back as well. And these are some really good tunes. But what I did in my Facebook, the UN and that keep telling us that the world is getting smaller all the time. And in this song, what Mr. Burke says is that let me go find this thing to what I wrote down here. And what he said, man, this computer's running slow tonight. Anyways, what he said is that the world is getting smaller each passing day. So what I punched into Facebook, and it's funny because I punched this in several years ago to places, and it didn't really get much play. And I'm amazed at how much people are starting to connect with the Alice in Wonderland kind of place we're living in here, this fictional world we live in. So I put Solomon Burke's tune back up, "None of Us Are Free," and then I wrote this in the Facebook as well. None of us are free so long as we are chained, because in his song he says, "None of us are free if one of us are chained." And so what I just put up was, "None of us are free so long as we are chained to the legal person." And then his line is, "The world is getting smaller each passing day." And I just added to that, "as the corporations posing as government merge into global government." And it is time that we all stand and we say no, and we mean it, because until then, freedom and peace will remain an empty dream. And I'm absolutely adamant about those thoughts because it's true. We have been hoodwinked. We have been deceived, and they have put us in a state of servitude for a very long time. Now, I haven't had time to sit down and figure out just how long, but there's a saying about 1,000 years of tyranny. And I would think that it's probably 1,000 years of tyranny that we've been living under now. And we either have to, this is our opportunity to break it. And if we don't break it, then it's going to be heaped on us forever. And we'll never be able to break it. So it's very important that we do stand up and that we say no and we mean it. And the beauty of it is that, a lot of people have been frustrated because people aren't waking up fast enough. Well, it takes a while. They've been in a deep sleep for a really long time. It takes a while for people to wake up. I know I've been frustrated over the years. Like, what's wrong with you people? Don't you get it? But you have to accept the fact that most people are living a life that's extremely regimented. They get up every morning, the alarm clock wakes them up, and then they hurry and they get dressed and they run off to a job. They particularly don't care if they ever went to it, but they don't seem to have a choice, because if they don't go to it, then they're going to be on the street. So they've got these people on the run. The moms and the dads are on the run all the time. They can't keep track of what the hell the school's teaching their children, and so on and so forth. Then when they get home, they're tired, or they got to take the kid to a hockey game or a ballet lesson or some other dumbass thing. And totally regimented lives. And then when they do finally, eat dinner and done all their running around, they just want to flop on the couch, turn on the TV, and relax, and maybe watch a comedy or a drama series or some reality TV program, just to dull the fact of the life that they're living every day. And so they really don't have much time to pay attention to what actually is the problem. So, we just got to just keep working on these people. And I keep saying, just keep talking to them, keep teaching them, and keep shining the damn light. And people are waking up fast now. It's freaking amazing. While I always expected them to wake up and hoped they would wake up, it's an absolute pleasure to see them waking up, because things I used to post years ago, which would get me slammed or negative comments or that seems to be pretty much to an end now. There's still the odd idiot out there that goes, "Oh, you're one of those shills, a tin hat," and that kind of stuff. But the number of people doing that now is gotten extremely small. Stuff that I used to post that would get me all kinds of negative heartaches and trouble and whatnot, and now has turned the page and it has become positive, and that's a pleasure. I was up helping a friend today. A couple of friends actually, and we were working on his. We were redoing his bathroom and doing some tile work and whatnot, and redoing the bathtub and shower, and the daughter of the gentleman friend that we're working on his house, her boyfriend was there, and he spent 10 years in the Army, and young guy yet. And so we were working and talking, and he is amazing, because he's probably not more than 30, spent 10 years in the Army, and we're talking, we're working and that, and he's learning everything he can possibly learn about what's going on, and he gets it, and that's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, because from being 10 years in the Army, he has some questions that need answers. So he's smart enough to go look for the answers. And the way the internet's so loaded with information now, it's so easy to go get the information and then sift through it and find out what's real and what's not real. Because, like I say, there's a lot of noise on the internet, a lot of disinfo. But to sit, me and my buddy were talking to this young guy, and it was so refreshing. It was none of, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, this guy's clued completely in, and he's about 30 years old. So, I keep saying this, keep talking, don't get frustrated, keep talking, keep teaching, and keep shining the light. We will win because we're supposed to win. And if we don't win, it's not anybody's fault but our own, okay? We have an opportunity here now that we have never had before, and we have to take advantage of that opportunity. So, anyways, again, I apologize for being late for the show. We worked a little longer than we planned on, and I was working out of town, so by the time I got home, and I thought I had time. It was, I had 5 minutes or whatever, and but I'd shut the computer down when I left this morning, and it just took an incredibly long time to fire up again. So, my apologies for being late. Now, as far as terrorism goes, you hear a lot about terrorism. There's a lot of terrorism going on. Terrorists. Who are the real terrorists, I suppose, is a question. And, where did the word terrorism even come from? And, they say that the word terrorism actually came from the Reign of Terror in France. Same place that we had a terrorist attack just recently, and the same place that we have the UN lunatics out there trying to label and put into law their legal system rules and regulations and carbon taxes and all that kind of stuff. And what kills me is that you have the police, and it reminds me of the G20 meeting in Toronto in 2010. It was a meeting of globalists, bankers, lawyers, and whatnot, traders, in Toronto. But the media never for a minute focused on any of that stuff. They ran a sideshow of kettling people and throwing people in jail and abusing people and whatnot, the police did, under the guise of security for the G20 meeting. All a game, all a play, and unfortunately some people got hurt. So they're doing the same thing over in France now. Okay, they, the protesters and that who want this done. So you got your water cannons, I suppose, and whatever else they're doing to these people over there. And again, it's just an act. It's just what it is, propaganda in order to, it's basically keep the eyes off the real subject, and to give you eye candy or whatever. People apparently like to watch protests and protesters being cannon bombed and whatnot, water canned and whatnot, by the police. I don't know how that titillates anybody, but apparently people get off on that. But the propaganda has pretty much run its game here. And let me see what I got going on here. Let me see here. Anyways, I'm just going through some stuff that was sent to me here. Okay. Anyways, let me see where we're at here. I see, let me see this thing here. I started up this paper.li thing so that it's basically just a news feed that I called Canada Daily. So we had a shooting in California. And we have this saying, most Syrian refugees not keen to move to Canada immediately, Ottawa says. That's good news. Stay in your own country. But it says down here, 270 Syrians have arrived in Canada with thousands more on the way. The next one is more than 100 communities to house privately sponsored Syrian refugee. Now, new map shows. I want to see if my town's on this map. If there is a map, it said a map. Let me look at this. Now, I know a lot of people in this country are thinking, I can't afford to pay rent or feed my kid or buy my winter coat. Maybe I ought to be a refugee. So, I don't know if you're a private sponsor of refugees or not. If you're going to sponsor somebody, hell, sponsor me. Anyways, where's this story even from? CBC News. And don't get me wrong, people. I got no problem with these people. I got problem with the agenda that's attached to these people. And most of these people have no clue what the agenda attached to them is. You know, I put a post in Facebook about Muslims and that. And apparently people get it, and that's a good thing. Now, a few years back, I went to a Muslim youth meeting here in town. And why do we have a Muslim youth meeting in the town of 7,000 people, 2 hours north of Toronto, where the population is pretty much about 100% white? We have, I think, about 3 Korean families, maybe. And that would be tops. We have a couple of other people in here, but it's basically a white Scottish-based town. And now I see that we have the Muslim center in town, and they canvass the towns, handing out flyers and that, saying that Islam is the faith of peace, or the religion of peace. We have, let's see what we have here. We have a Catholic Church, an Anglican Church, a Presbyterian Church, 2 Baptist churches, a Lutheran Church, and Pentecostal Church. And so we don't have a lot to do with Muslims here. But the churches have all banded together to bring in Muslims because they care. Well, if you're a preacher, you know that Islam is not exactly the same as Christianity. But then again, religion has been used through the centuries as a mechanism to divide and conquer people. Okay, and now we have the Christian churches jumping on the Muslim bandwagon. Does that make any sense? Of course it doesn't make any sense, but the preachers are working for the state, and they've always worked for the state, and so they take it to congregations and they work on them to get them to follow and espouse what the state wants them to do. And that's bloody unfortunate, because all you so-called Christians going to these so-called Christian churches need to wake up. I seriously think you're more asleep than most of the rest of the population are. You've been hoodwinked forever. Anyways, it says here, privately sponsored Syrian refugees could be settled in more than 100 communities across Canada, with Toronto and Quebec taking the bulk, according to data released by the federal government. Flights to Canada for Syrian refugees to start December the 10th. Toronto expecting 2,600 privately sponsored Syrian refugees. Government map shows first new wave of Syrian refugees arrive in Canada from Lebanon Immigration Minister John McCallum, who was a banker and is an asshole extraordinaire, excuse my language, unclear on details for Syrian refugee arrivals. So he's the immigration minister, and he's unclear on details for Syrian refugees, but the three links above it, everybody else seems to be clear on, except the immigration minister. Makes sense so far. While the decisions are not final, the government has released a map of destination communities where private individuals or groups have applied to sponsor refugees. The map lists 65 communities, but does not include Quebec, where sponsorship applications are approved provincially. Quebec has previously said it will take in 3,650 refugees by the end of the year, 2,900 of whom will be privately sponsored. With all provinces combined, the federal government said people in more than 100 communities have applied to sponsor Syrian refugees. According to the map, the Greater Toronto Area will take in 2,600 privately sponsored, Calgary would take in 502, Edmonton 321, and Ottawa 127. It is so encouraging to see the communities, it says, large and small, coming together in support of this complex initiative and welcome the Syrian refugee immigration, Minister McCallum said. The generosity and compassion of Canadians will help them successfully transition to life in Canada. The federal government's current goal is to bring 25,000 Syrian refugees to Canada by the end of February, some through private sponsorship and some through government assistance. The Liberals initially promised to bring in 25,000 by the end of the year. So can I click on this map or what? Because my town ought to be on it, because we have a bunch of these Christian churches have joined hands to bring in these Syrian refugees. Now, this map is not expandable. That really ticks me off. Wait a minute. External links. Map. Okay, here we are. Map. Ontario, Kingston. I know we have listeners from Kingston on the show. Have someone that wants to privately. Now, see, my town isn't on this, but I know they're working to bring them in. So the plan here is to get these people spread out in as many communities as possible so that we have a foothold in here in your community, at which point the number of Muslim immigrants, I'm not going to call them Syrian immigrants, I'm just going to call them Muslim immigrants because we don't know where the hell they're actually coming from. But what I've been telling people is, you see, if you look at Europe, there's all kinds of videos out there where the police will go into a Muslim area in Britain or France or Sweden, Germany, and the Muslims actually run the police to hell out of there and tell them they don't recognize their law. And this is the problem. Okay, when I spoke to those young people, and there was some older guys, like they're facilitators or whatever, about when I went to the Muslim youth meeting, and it was fine because nobody got excited with one another, and there was no animosity to speak of. It was very tame conversation, but we talked for about 2 hours, and I said, you guys got to realize what's happening here. And, but I said, well, what is it you believe? And I said, my understanding is that and this is several years back, I said, my understanding is that you believe that Islam will be the world religion. And they said, well, yes, it will be. And that Sharia law will be the world law. Yes. So this is what they believe. And these are the people that we're bringing here. which basically is brought here to undermine the society. It's called genocide. Well planned out. And but what I explain to these guys is that, you're being used as a tool and a fool, okay, or a useful idiot, because you see they can't have their world government as long as the American Constitution is even on life support or the Christian faith exists. So your job is to come in and get your foothold in here so that you can bring in Sharia law and Islam to destroy the idea of Christianity and to destroy the idea of the American Constitution and or Western law. Now, how do they get Sharia law? If an immigrant comes, a bunch of immigrants go to England or France or Germany or anywhere else, how is it that they are building Sharia courthouses, if you will? How is that possible? Well, it works kind of like this, that you see here in the West, they separated religion from the state. Now, the kings did that. The king, I think it was King Henry, one of the King Henrys did that. And it was the Puritans or whatever. I don't know if I got the right group or not. But that wanted God's law as the law of the land. And the king, with his lawyers and banker friends, said, we can't have that. So they recognized that religion or Christianity, but that they didn't want it having power anywhere in their law system because that would override the king and the lawyers and the bankers. So they said they would recognize it, but the king is still the boss here. So what they did was they separated religion from the state. So you have your religious freedoms, it says in our charter and the American charter and everywhere else, our Constitution. You have religious freedoms, but it's separate from the state because the state is a commercial entity. It's a corporation, and it deals only in legal. And what was given to us by the Creator was called law. So they don't want the Creator's law interfering with the commercial system. So that's why they separated the religion and the state. The problem with the Muslim groups is that there is no separation. That's the problem. Okay? Islam is the religion. Sharia law is the law. And also the government. And they're not separate, and nor are they separable. So they only recognize Allah, and everybody else is an infidel. And they did not at any point separate those three entities. So when they move to a new country, you say, well, you have freedom of religion. Well, wait a minute. That don't cut with us. We have no separation. This idea of freedom of religion doesn't fly with us. Okay? Allah is our God, and the law He gave us is our law, and the government we have is from Him. And so therefore they stand above your system here in the West. And that is how Sharia law gets implemented, okay? Because the Muslims refuse to recognize Western religion, Western law, or Western government. And they say, we're not putting up with it. That's why they run the police. If the police go into, or the fire police, or whatever goes into these Muslim communities, in Britain and that, they run them out. You have no business here. We don't recognize you. They're calling Britain and that, this is our country. They're laying claim to the country. and they intend to institute their religion and their laws. Well, people go, well, how could our politicians allow this to happen? Well, it's pretty simple. Your politicians are all running the corporations known as your country, and they're all member states of the United Nations. That's how this is happening. And they're doing the bidding of the United Nations. And the United Nations wants the end of the industrialized countries. End them. Okay? And most of that rhetoric has to do with the environment. Or as Morris Strong says, and I really hope he is dead, but I got a funny feeling that sucker is still kicking around somewhere. But maybe not. But, this is a well laid out plan through the United Nations and the guys of Morris Strong and Rockefeller and all of you just go look at the World Bank or the IMF or the WHO or the FAO and you will see the plan is to destroy the West. Or as Morris Strong said, isn't the only hope for the planet that the Western civilizations collapse? Isn't it our responsibility to help bring that about? Well, this was head environment. Now, I see in the papers, apparently, we have overpaid some $37 billion we're on the hook for here in Ontario, and Morris Strong was the guy that was brought in to revitalize our Ontario, restructure our Ontario energy system, and we've just been hoodwinked for the tune of like some $37 billion as our energy rates go through the ceiling. All a fraud all the time. And I don't know what it takes for people to I know it's going to happen. I know this is going to happen, that we are going to stand and say no. But it's very important that we don't get sucked into this Muslim mass immigration thing. They put a show on the TV here in Canada, and when I say in Canada, just let me ride with this. Okay, I'm tired tonight. We know you can't be in Canada. It's a piece of paper. But CBC, the international propaganda outfit to feed the people here all this nonsense that they feed them. I mean, we actually had a show here years ago. I don't know if it's still on the air or not. Maybe it is. I don't know. I haven't looked at TV in years. But there was a show called Little Mosque on the Prairie, a knockoff of Little House on the Prairie. Little Mosque on the Prairie. Now, why would that be? Why would we in Canada, which is mostly, or used to be mostly white people, and this isn't a racist thing, understand that, it's just what it was. Why the importance of a show called Little Mosque on the Prairie? What are we talking about here? Little Mosque on the Prairie? Where did these Muslims on the prairie come from? But the whole idea of the show is to soften you up, to show you the upside of the Muslims. Very nice people. I watched one or two episodes of that, and I see the propaganda where they showed that the Muslim people were actually smarter than, faster on their feet than, and they played the Canadian people as basically stupid. Now, same thing with a comedian called Russell Peters. When he showed up on the scene, he was he's East Indian, and I remember I thought this guy's pretty funny until I started actually listening to what he had to say. And he's promoted by all the TV stations and the media and everything. And so now we got all these people sitting in the audience listening to Russell Peters, and he did some good shticks. But, he's doing his comedy, and he's saying, when we're done, or whatever he's yammering about, well, basically, when we're done, everybody's going to be beige. Okay? So he's on the stage telling you that he's promoting genocide of the white race. And people go, oh, well, he wouldn't do that. He was just being funny. No, he's not being funny at all. He's telling you the truth. But all the white people in the audience are laughing. Ha, ha, ha. Peters is so funny, right? They're not nothing to do with funny. He's telling you what's going on. And they always tell you what's going on. That's part of the game. But people don't seem to get it. And they better start getting it soon. Because if we allow this to get a foothold in here, and we allow this Sharia law to start coming at us, well, we got some real problems on our hands. Now, we know the politicians are all flakes, and they do not represent you. They represent the globalists, and the globalists want to get rid of the American Constitution. They want to get rid of the Christian faith. And I'm not a big, the more I look into this, this idea of a Christian faith or Islam or religion is nothing more than a divide and conquer tool. That's what it is. That's all it is. It's all it's ever been. Religion is like banking. It's a fraud. Okay? Now, the King James Bible says, let no man deceive you. And the people go, well, I'm not deceived. I go to the... think about this, people. Just give this a moment's thought. Okay, what religion are you? Well, I'm Christian. Uh-huh. So are you a Roman Catholic Christian? Are you a United Church Christian? Are you a Baptist Christian? Are you a Pentecostal Christian? Are you a Lutheran Christian? Are you an Anglican Christian? Get it, people. Get it. You've been duped. All of these churches are 501. That means they're state churches. And each of your little congregations are being hoodwinked. You're being manipulated. You are being lied to. Well, my preacher wouldn't lie to me. Well, of course he would. That's their job. Just like the politicians lie to you, just like the teachers lie to you, just like the lawyers lie to you, just like the bankers lie to you. That's their job. They are trained to lie to you. What is that song? John Lennon's song. And there's a guy that was really, screwed with. I think he had a good heart, but he got used. But that song, oh God, what was the name of that song? Not Everyday Hero. It had something to do with hero anyways. It wasn't Common Man Hero. Working Man Hero, I think it was called. But in that song, he says, they're telling you there's still room at the top if you can smile as you kill. And that's where we're at. That's who's running this planet. You ain't getting to the top if you aren't willing to smile as you kill. Or when they told me I had a great future in politics, and I said, that won't work for me. And they go, why not? You'd be really good at this. We've been watching you. And I said, I don't have the ability to smile at someone while I'm lying to them. And I was told, well, if you ever change your mind, you could have a really great future in politics. So what he's saying, if you ever, get tired of what you're doing and you want a good future in politics, all you have to do is accept the simple fact that if you're going to be in politics, you must be able to smile at people while you're lying to them. Well, I ain't going there, am I? So everybody's lying to you. Everybody's deceiving you. So, but the upside is people are they're coming to grips with this pretty quick now. They're coming to it pretty damn quick. Now, if I can find this, and I hope I can find it, but I don't know if I will. But we're going to take a quick shot at it. Let me see. This will be amazing if I get it quick. Let me see. Okay, maybe I'll catch it here. Okay, see if I can get what I'm looking for here. Zionists and the Muslims to destroy each other, Albert Pike's Masonic plan about to begin. World War III is to be tormented by using the so-called controversies, the agents of the Illuminati operating under whatever new name, as they're now being stored up between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Muslim world. That war is to be directed in such a manner that all Islam and political Zionist Israel will destroy each other, while at the same time remaining nations, once more divided on this issue, will be forced to fight themselves into a state of complete exhaustion, physically, mentally, spiritually, and economically. Albert Pike, 1871. And that's not the exact quote I was looking for, but it's close enough. And what I keep telling people is that, and the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. World War I was thought up long before World War I. And that was to get the state of Israel, or to create it, and they were looking for the League of Nations, which is United Nations today. And the whole thing failed miserably to a point. They did get some agreements in that fired in, but the idea of World War I, it had nothing to do with a world war. It had to do with creating the League of Nations and Israel. And a lot of people don't think Israel had anything to do with it until at the end of World War II. That's not true. Israel has always been part and parcel to this game. And so the offer that was given to the Zionists, if you will, for a location for Israel, I believe was in Africa somewhere, and they didn't much care for that. They kind of had their eyes on, Jerusalem and that. And so it failed. But, people thought World War I ended. Well, maybe it did, but World War II started the next day. Okay? More psychological work on the students in the public school system to get them to forget their history and why their forefathers fought for get away from Britain and or England. And so it was World War II that began as all war. It began as a psychological war, and also a spiritual war, because we have to eradicate this idea of creation, and we have to shove down the throats of everybody the idea of evolution. So they plied their time and their ways and kept working at this. And then, as always, started a Great Depression to put everybody or a large number of people in total duress. And unfortunately, they're looking for help, and the government's going to help them by starting another war and paying those who are desperately trying to support their families, paying them a paycheck if they will send their young, healthy son and or daughter to fight in a war. Now, I would think that if these people had the financial stability that they probably had before the Depression, very few of them would have stepped up to plate to go to war. But because they were, in very dire straits, and their family was hungry, and their family was hard up, these young guys lined up through the propaganda system to fight for freedom and get a paycheck. Now, World War I, they slaughtered millions upon millions of people. World War II, they slaughtered millions upon millions of innocent people. But it was a successful war because at the end of it, they had the United Nations and they had Israel. Mission accomplished. The day after World War II ended, World War III started. And it is a psychological, spiritual war. And the idea now is to use this world body of so-called governments and turn their sights on the West, specifically to kill the Constitution and Christianity. Because our so-called laws are built on the Christian faith, coming from the Queen, taking the oath on the King James Bible to uphold the laws as per, but also being at the apex of the political and legal systems, which are corporate. So all of this stuff has to go by the wayside because they can't have their Earth Charter as long as the American Constitution and the Christian faith exist. So they have to destroy them. So how are we going to destroy them? Well, they bombed the snot out of these countries, these Muslim countries, for years and years and years and years, put tons of people in camps for years and years and years. And when they have enough of them saved up, which is around 5 million right now, then they can disperse them across the West. And they have signed agreements, all the countries have signed agreements to take these Muslims because, well, they're member states of the United Nations. So they're just doing the bidding of their bosses. And start running these people into the West. All planned and all part of a plan. So, it's game on. It really, truly is game on. I mean, they're coming at us now. They've been at it for a long time. I mean, look at how long ago they started this European Union thing. And how's that worked out for everybody? Not worth a damn. Not worth a damn at all. So it seems to me that the media has this ability to tell people any bunk they want and they will believe it. In particular, we were told when I was a kid that we had to look out for the Russians because they're going to bomb us. And they told us how to jump under a desk and put our hands over our heads so that we could survive a nuclear blast, like that was possible. That was the propaganda they used then to control people, fear people. And it's the same thing they're doing today, only they're using it more from it was a psychological thing too, and now they're using, global warming and tugging at your heartstrings with these immigrants and whatnot. But it's all designed to move their program forward, which is really the final empire, where a small group of people, call them kings and queens, if you will, own all the planet's resources. Every drop of water, every piece of wood, every bit of food, and so on and so forth. They are the new world government. So they would like us to believe. But we're going to put a stop to that. The terrorism came from France. And it's a tool that the government uses to put fear into people, terrorize people. And that's what we're living under now, okay? All of these so-called terrorist groups are created by the world governments. And who then is the terrorist? The terrorist is the one that is terrorizing you. And that is your government, your so-called government. And we got to come to grips with that. But as people come to grips with it, they come to realize that we're living in a fantasy world that actually doesn't exist. While we are real, and the trees are real, and the rivers are real, and the animals are real, and so forth and so on, and the buildings are real, everything that controls our life is unreal. It's all fiction. And we need to lose this fictional entity and go back to being men and women. Because until we do that, nothing else matters. Arguing about right-left politics doesn't matter. You know, all these false flags don't matter. As long as we are chained to that legal person, fictional entity that was created on behalf of the kings and queens by the lawyers and the bankers to hold us in servitude our entire lives without us realizing we're in servitude, has to stop. You've never had a paycheck. It kills me when I even think about that. Nobody working here has ever had a paycheck. The paycheck is written to your legal person, fictional entity. Well, you say, well, I did the work. Yeah, but you didn't get the paycheck. Well, I get to spend the money. As an agent, you do. But you never got a paycheck. You've never voted. That's an impossibility. You cannot vote. So you didn't get a paycheck, you didn't vote, because as they say, only a citizen, which is a legal entity, has the right to buy and sell, the right to work, the right to sue or be sued. This is all commercial. It's all commercial. It has nothing to do with law. It is a legal system that was set up to hoodwink you and to hold you in servitude. Now, I'll leave you with this thought. It is against the law to hold anyone in servitude without their express consent. Now, unless I miss... I'm all accepting. We have... Anyway, so I want to thank... Anyways, this is Thursday, and this time
they shoot, they kill, they mass operate, they burn, the kids, no one makes trees, laugh, to your face, fight, and die, 'cause God will give.
Somebody got something